Well, hi everybody, Father Alex here. Welcome to another episode of the Godcast. Just so you know, I'm the vicar of St Matthew's Church in Burnley. I'm the host of the Godcast. I'm a member of the Church of England General Synod, and I'm also the author of this book, Our Daily Bread: From Argos to the Altar, a Priest's Story. Do please check that out. My guest on the Godcast this week is Helen Lederer, a writer, comedian, actress, author. We're going to talk a little bit about her career and her book, which is entitled Not That I Am Bitter. So, hope you enjoy it. If you do, then please do subscribe to the YouTube channel or check out Spotify. There are hundreds of interviews with people from all walks of life. But for now, I really hope you enjoy this interview with Helen Lederer. Well, I'm delighted to say that joining me on the Godcast this week is well-known comedian, author, writer, and many other talents as well. It's Helen Lederer. Helen, great to get you on the Godcast. How are you?
Yeah, amazing to be on a Godcast. I think it's my first opportunity in such a context. Yes.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm really pleased that it's your first because a lot of people say similar. I've had lots of wonderful guests on, and I'm sure you're going to add to that list now, Helen. You're currently in the West End.
Yes, I'm currently at the Apollo Theatre in the West End, which is in like the big important high street in the West End. And in Fawlty Towers. Did you ever watch Fawlty
Oh
Towers?
yes, yes, very much. In fact,
Yeah.
I've got a very tenuous link, Helen, which
Yeah.
so Paul Nicholas, who plays the Major,
Yes.
I am distantly related to the original Major from Fawlty Towers. He was my
Oh.
cousin's grandfather or something. I can't
Oh
quite.
wow, the actor who played him.
Yeah, that's
Oh
right.
gosh, that's amazing. Oh wow, because that part is so funny, and Paul Nicholas is his timing is like second to none. You kind of appreciate these things now when you see that when you're up close, and the audience. What is weird about performing this 8 times a week is, and we will be stopping it. I will come out of this on the 14th of September. So it will be very sad to come out of it, but I'm coming out of it. And that some of the audience know, like you, the kind of iconic
Mhm.
association with John Cleese and the scripts, and some don't. And then you get young people. It's and Americans and Germans, and it seems to be a standalone play that knits together a bit of nostalgia, but it is funny. It is satirical and funny. So can you imagine as a stand-up with all the experiences of things not going quite according to plan? People are enjoying this play, and
Yeah.
it's a rare thing nowadays to have a piece of work there where people laugh and they go home having laughed. Because you'll find in your area of being in the pulpit, perhaps if you are, that laughing. Some people don't. I mean, often many of us don't laugh in the day. I can go for days not laughing, and that's a bad thing. Laughing and praying. Um,
This is
I
this is
switch
this is
to
very
with
true,
it.
Helen. As somebody who I was an aspiring stand-up comedian and did a bit of stand-up in some of the clubs in Manchester and stuff. I think what you're saying is dead right. I mean, as a vicar, a lot of people do like to share with me bad news, and I quite often say,
Yes.
if you want to tell me something funny that's happened in your life or something that's,
No. Well, they
please
wouldn't go
do.
to you. They wouldn't go to you, Alex, because you're there as a kind of pastoral service, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Comfort the sad. Whereas when you're laughing, you won't go, "Oh, Vicar, I must tell you this gag. It was hilarious." You'll die laughing.
Yeah.
That's probably not uppermost in your flock, is it?
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, and Helen, I've not been able to see Fawlty Towers. I live in Burnley, Lancashire, but it is going on tour, and I plan to.
It is.
One of the fears that I had was how real to the true would it be? And recently I went to see Only Fools and Horses, the musical,
Oh, yes.
and I had the same fear, and it was all blown away. It was like watching a new episode. I thought it was so well done.
Yeah.
What's the kind of feedback that you're getting about Fawlty Towers and how close it is to the real
Yeah,
thing?
well, I think again, as I was saying, because the audience are mixed with, who know some of the scripts. I mean, I don't. So there'll be a a line that they will recognize. Even one of Mrs. Richardson's lines where she wants a room with a view, and she's complaining that she hasn't got a sufficiently interesting view of Torquay. And But then Manuel, his kind of lines, his catchphrases. But equally, once you're there and the set kind of conjures the kind of nostalgic as aspirant B&B of Britain, you're kind of in the world anyway. So I don't think it has to be, it won't disappoint.
And if you can hear me all
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay. So the Fawlty Towers experience has come after you've released your memoir, which you published last year, Helen. Just tell us about that experience. Was that a cathartic experience? Was it something you enjoyed doing?
I did enjoy no, I did enjoy writing it. Looking back, it's an extremely alarmingly honest memoir because I am that kind of person in real life, and so it's reflected in the text. Possibly I wouldn't have put everything in if I'd had time to think about it, but because I was in this rush of trying to do comedy narrative, humor, as you know, is based on the truth. So I didn't lie. I didn't knowingly lie, which is a sin, isn't it? A lie anyway. So I think that my version of the truth it can be very, very funny because it is so out there. But also, I mean, like my family went, "Oh wow!" If my lovely mother had been alive, I don't know what she would have made. But I think actually sometimes being older, when your parents have passed over, that is the time to just reflect, and there is a liberation. I mean, a sad reason to be liberated, but you don't have to protect anyone. And I just wanted to tell it how it is and was in the 80s as a woman stand-up comedian. And I'm touring the literary festivals now when I finish in Fawlty Towers. And I love the difference of live performing when people ask questions. And then you go, oh, are the press in? And then they're not, or they might be. But you can have that unique exchange with those people in that audience at that time and just be completely guided by an unrepeatable experience. And that's what I love about performing, that side of performing. I'll never have that again.
What was the relationship with the publisher, Helen? I've been very fortunate that I've been, Hopper Collins published a book of mine a few
Oh,
years ago, and
wonderful.
and
Very
and
posh.
I was very intrigued by what you said though, Helen, about the language and my book has got some colourful language in it because of the very reason you said. I want to tell it as it is, but a few people who were kind of privy to reading it before it was published saying, "Oh, there's a lot of bad language in this book." A lot of bad.
Oh,
It was actually the publisher that said, "You've got to keep it in. You got to keep it in."
yes, yes.
What was your relationship like with the publisher? Was it a good one?
Yes. Well, it's a funny world, isn't it, about getting published? Some of the posh ones, when I submitted it, it said, "Oh, love your writing, but memoirs aren't doing very well," because I think they have to give a big advance. They're worrying about getting their money back. Well, I have to say that Mirror Books have got their back from their investment, but I think people had a notion about so-called celebrities, of which I'm not. I don't see myself as a celebrity. It's a new word. They didn't have the word celebrity when I went to drama school
Mm.
or reality TV. That's fine, but and the world's changed. But I think there was a disconnect. Now I was thinking, I want this book to make people laugh. I'd written a novel before losing it, which did sell very well and is still on Amazon. And all I want is when people read what I write is to see the humor in the narrative. I don't particularly want to write a sad book, but truth is funny, absurdity is funny. So I'm hoping that I succeeded in that. And as you were saying, Alex, I mean, I don't know if there were swear words. I just think raw truth. People go, oh my goodness. So I don't know how my relationships are with publishers or agents at all. There's a whole chapter about my problem with authority figures, um, which a lot of people can relate to. I don't like being told what to do, but then I'm quite frightened of people in authority, or even, there you are, your religious collar, you go, oh, there's a status. So
Mm.
my instinct is to kind of undermine that before I feel comfortable with it. It's very childish.
Now, my first memory of you, Helen, was in the Young Ones. Um, can we just go back briefly to that
Yeah.
time? And Rick Mail
Mm.
was I think still is really a significant part of my life, particularly as a kid. I knew every word from the Young Ones. I recited it
Oh,
on the school bus. I named my
oh,
dog after Rick Mail. What
oh,
was I don't want to break
oh.
too many confidences, but what was he like when he wasn't in front of the camera? What was he like when he was just being, you know, Rick Mail? Was there much difference to him and the public image
It's
and persona?
a very supportive person, a engaging person. And when I remember quite latterly, after he'd had his accident, I did a radio play with him in Manchester. Did a radio play with him in Manchester. Um, he was, because by then he'd had the accident, slightly deaf, but loud in a beautiful way, just really engaging with everyone. Wouldn't leave anyone out. Warm, charismatic, the kind of person that would want to work with. That's my experience of Rick, and those people are rare and special, and don't come around very often. And it's like, when you hear of someone who passed away, real sadness. You know there is a loss because of the connection he made with you and so many people. You're the generation, the young ones liberated probably, like in the way my generation, I think it was Python or a bit of Dudley Moore and Peter Sellers, that kind of comedy, not Peter Sellers, Peter Cook, uh, the comedy that you need to be given permission to know about the real world that when your parents aren't listening.
Yeah, and I mean it was totally anarchy, wasn't it? And I wonder, I'm not sure we'll see that kind of comedy again on our screens, and
Mm,
some ways that, there's quite often a debate about comedy, Helen, isn't there,
mm,
about how what is offensive to
mm.
one person isn't offensive to another. No, Jimmy Carr talks a lot about this.
Yeah.
Where do you think we are with comedy? Your whole career's been in or around that genre.
Yeah.
Where do you think we are with it all now?
Well, sometimes now I'm doing the memoir, and people like to know answers, don't they? And they ask a question about woke, and then I have to get someone else to explain what perception of woke is, and then we go into a bit of a. But I try and turn for what my understanding is. Do you have a funny bone? So funny bone is a funny bone is a funny bone. I was funny at school. I mean, not in a way. I mean, probably in anarchist sort of way to try and manage my own life priorities. Um, uh, but also you can be funny through replicating an accepted version of a funny. So there isn't just one way. So I think just go. I personally like the funny in others. So talking to other stand-up comedians sometimes will remind you that we've got a similar kind of brain. That's lovely. Because we don't be lonely. So humor connects us. And so when you talk to another kindred spirit, especially sparkly, isn't it? We all find that in varying versions of that, don't we? But humor is a connecting thing. And when you can have a laugh with someone, oh my God, that is the best
Yeah,
than anything.
it is. When was the last time you did some stand up, Helen? Is it years or?
I sort of do a bit of stand up the book, but that's cheating. No, that was me showing off. That's an example of me showing off. In 2018, I went up to Edinburgh to see if I could do it, the one woman show. And I want to see if I can do it as a very old person now next year. Um, Having done now sort of a play in a wig as Mrs. Richard in Fawlty Towers, and then done the kind of talking to the audience live. I think the one show is the thing in the middle where you have material you want to do, but it's personal material. It's to make you laugh. It's not a character in a wig. Very different disciplines I've noticed. Like, don't look at the audience when you're on stage as Mrs. Richardson. Richard, do look at the audience when you're on stage answering questions. It's a very different thing, but you need an audience.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated about writing. I've written stand up and stuff, and but I'm wondering if you have a set rule and structure to it, Helen. When you're thinking, right, this is what I'm writing for. Do you let the ideas kind of just float around for a bit before you sit down? And how structured are you within a performance to let yourself go in other directions?
Well, in the early days, when I wrote Not That I'm Bitter, I was thinking, I've still got my script, and I've got a lot of scripts that were rejected. I kept them, and so you'd go back and you go, what were you talking about? What is the content? But the content of any tends to reflect the society at the time. So I actually talked about self-hypnosis tapes. I talked about sunbeds. Anyone would find that even remotely funny now. But you talk about the influence. You talk about now, what is going on now, the absurdity of now. It has to connect. There was a phase where some of the men comedians started to talk about their pets. I found that not that engaging because I didn't have a pet. Family stuff, not as funny. Um, it's a mix, isn't it, of like a discipline or a craze of building word upon word and word, but also recognition, which means you've got to reflect the world you are in and the world the audience are in. Hopefully, you're in the same world. You're allowing the audience to laugh at the world that we're all in.
Yeah. Oh, and what about ad-libbing? Do you have confidence in your
Yeah,
craft
no,
now to,
that's freedom, isn't it? If
yeah,
it works. A bad lib is probably pity you started it. It's kind of like being a sheepdog, I think. Going back to stand up is like, I'd be acutely aware of people, like somebody might be going up to get a drink or going to the loo, or God forbid, leaving. So, do you comment on that? If you're going to comment on it, you have to follow through.
yeah,
But it's like keeping everyone with you, just being super aware,
yeah.
without being vulnerable. Vulnerability is not very attractive as a comedian. It's probably the thing to avoid.
Yeah. Well, Helen, I'm really mindful that I understand this is your day off, so I'm really grateful for your time. But I do want a few more questions if I could chuck them
Yes.
in. Something that I think you went back and added to the book was around doing pilgrimage. I think that's
Yeah.
probably why somebody's hooked me up with you is that connection there.
Yeah.
Was that a glorified holiday? Was it something more special?
It was special. And interestingly, I was looking at the photographs, the off-scene photographs of the group, and I it was actually magical of bonding with that group of people that you would never have met. But why did you bond so much? I mean, I'm in a play now where I bonded with people, and some others, but everyone is lovely. I mean, genuinely lovely, and there is a beauty in meeting new people in itself, isn't it? I mean, that's the joy of this work, that you get to meet people. I think because our purpose was to talk about those questions, is there a God? What happens when you die? Different forms of religion, about inherited faith, inherited background that I talked about. You don't often get the opportunity to have those conversations, the willingness. And I think the beautiful thing was we were all willing. Yes, there were cameras there, but you really connect with people and see um, their own grief and connections and the humanity of us. Um, we fast track something, and it, I still see Jay McGuinness. His background was a Catholic. We talked about God. He cried. We drank wine. And it stayed with me. That experience of the pilgrimage has stayed with me. And being required to be honest about a belief system where you don't cover it is quite unusual because I'm not that open. I prefer to have a laugh than talk about my inner.
Yeah.
Um, it was quite liberating to go, well, I do believe the word God.
And did it change the inner without going into too much of the inner?
Um, yes, I think it gave a focus to it because the requirement of the experience was that one was to go there. Interesting, there were others that would say, no, this is it. This is the experience. When we're gone, we're gone. It's now. But even have that conversation, it means then let's value now. Let's cherish now. I mean, whatever happened, there's a refocusing of the mind. And they say when you're walking and talking uphill, mostly in my memory of it, that there is nothing else but the other human being next to you. So why not have those conversations? That's probably why pilgrims, apart from selling salt and the hoo-ha that we learned about, you do it to get close, but you need other people to get close. To get close to yourself requires other people.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I was fortunate just before the trouble in Israel and Gaza to go to the Holy Land on a pilgrimage with a group of people who I didn't know before. I was
Mm.
leading a group, and then by the end of it, the whole experience was really deep and magical, and will stay with me. I think and probably affect my ministry forever. I think these are really
Oh,
special moments.
yes.
The other
Yeah.
thing, Helen, I wanted to ask about, in some ways, your good mate Tony Slattery, who's another comedian who
Yes.
I follow with interest, and his downfall, and I don't mean that derogatory way, but it was very public, wasn't it? How was that for you as his mate? How did you walk
Mm.
alongside him in his downward trajectory?
Well, you could look at it like for a lot of his life, he had public success and affected people kind of quite in a unique way, standout person, akin to Rick Mail. These were standout individuals that were memorable, people, memorable for the rest of us. But another part of it, he wasn't well, and so he came to talk about that. And so people's disappointment, that obviously people want that spark, that gorgeous spark, that young man that he was, but life isn't like that. So we started a friendship and a friendship podcast where we spoke about each other's relationship with the other without the other person being in the room. And that was just not long before he died. So I'm glad I have that memory. And he's still very satirical and funny and sardonic, which is what you want in a funny person. Just you say a thing, and gosh, that's connecting. So, yeah, a person who was partly amazing in the public eye and partly withdrawn from the public eye.
Yeah, yeah. And what about yourself, Helen? Somebody else had on was Chris Difford from Squeeze, who
Oh,
spoke really beautifully and suggested he was at a certain period in life's corridor, that he was further down the road than most people. When you get to a certain vintage, Helen,
oh, you're being tactful now. I can
yeah, I
tell.
am trying to be, yeah.
I'm old.
You're not old,
I
but
am.
you're of a certain vintage.
I
And
am a vintage.
so what does that mean for you? Does that mean you just want to keep working? Do you want to kind of retire gracefully and slowly slip away, or you still got dreams and aspirations?
I still, I'm still driven. I set up the Women in Print Prize 7 years ago, which is a prize to enable and enhance witty women's fiction, which is a passion project. And so I'm running that in print now, QUIP, EWIP 2025, like now, at the same time as doing the play. And that's driving me. Um, I think I'd rather just go quickly and subtly when I'm busy. I don't know how to do nothing, but it would be lovely to do a little less than I'm doing now. I can fit, I've got my coffee, but it's decaf to keep going. I don't have a plan. I need my project done before it's too late. I
Hmm.
want my project done. So that is exciting still.
Well, I'm really grateful for your time, Helen. I know you're a very busy lady and you're in this wonderful show. The book is, just remind people the name of the book.
It's called Not That I'm Bitter, an attempt at self-irony. And go on Amazon. People, I hope it's truthful, but it want it to engage with the reader and make you smile, if not laugh, on the tube when reading it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for making me laugh over the years, Helen. I've you're in that that group that I'm thinking
I'm
of.
honored.
Well, the
I'm in the
whole
gang.
AD Edmondson, Andy Delator, you're all part of that niche group that has made me laugh for many years, and long may it
But you've
continue.
got to laugh in your job because you're dealing up front, you're front facing the pain. So
Absolutely.
you need to go and have a private laugh every so often,
Oh, I
Alex.
do. I do. I definitely do. All right, Helen. Well, good luck for the show. Are you on
Thank
tonight?
you.
You on tonight or
I am on, no, my
no?
one day
Tonight's your day
off.
off.
I'm back on Tuesday tomorrow to September the 13th. Apollo.
Okay. Okay. Well, everybody check out Helen's book and shows and tour for the thing, and check out my book. There it is. Our Daily Bread.
Our
I've got
daily
it.
bread. Need some. Great. I'll have it. I'll have what you're having.
Thank you, Helen. Thanks so much.